Okay, in five, four, boom. We are alive, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today. This is Tio and the Arcane Bear. As you could see, I have a full screen or had a full screen of people here with me today. We have Inverted and Mr. Henry the Grape here from Cyberkongz, and Alex from our side here as well, who introduced us. Henry and Mr. Inverted, how you guys doing today?
Doing wonderful, man. It's a great day. Great day. We're here with Arcane Bear. What could be better?
Perfect. I love it. Alex, thank you for introducing us. I'm excited to dive in here. So for those of you that don't know, Henry the Grape and Inverter are part of the Cyberkongz community and team leaders. We'll let you guys introduce yourselves and your more formal positions. I know Web3 is kind of abstract with formalities, so we'll let you guys explain that one.
Henry, take it.
Oh, okay. I'm Henry the Grape. I'm the community manager of Cyberkongz, and I'm also on the Council of Kongs with Inverted, which is sort of like our core team. We don't really give like the official titles like in Web 2, but I would say, one of my jobs is like strategic partnerships, Twitter spaces, going on podcasts, things like that. And obviously I work closely with Inverted. Inverted, tell them all about you.
Yeah, Inverted here. One of the day one OG mentors from the project. I'll say unofficial first community manager back in the day. And then one of the first Council of Kongs members as well. So been here through it all, seen all the transformations. My background is mostly in marketing with a focus in experiential. So live events, experiences, how to connect the brand to the individual. And I've been very, very gracious to have Henry join us, since he has coming from literally, a mod, or starting as a holder, going to a mod, to community manager, to Council of Kongs. So it's been awesome to have him, and huge asset. And thank you, Alex, for having us and connecting us too, because this is what it's all about.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for joining us and being here. Tio and I go back a little over a year when I started getting interested in Web3, and listening to him and his podcast has been just massively transformational for me from an educational standpoint. And Cyberkongz is the first project I didn't mint, but one of the first projects I bought into purely at the time. This is in probably June of 21. Just love the artwork, and the community was amazing, and just been an avid supporter ever since. I love what you guys are building, what you guys are doing, and excited to chat.
So who wants to kind of tell the Genesis story? One of the things I like about this sector is that a lot of the unique things that are birthed here are all, not by accident, but serendipity is a much better word. They're very serendipitous quite often. Who you want to share the Genesis story of Cyberkongz?
Yeah, we love sharing the story of Cyberkongz. We call it the Gospel of Kongs. I call it the Gospel of Kongs, but Cyberkongz originally minted March of 2021. So by definition of, like, let's say an OG project, CK qualifies. So March of 2021, Mio, our founder, came out with these 1,000 Genesis Kongs. And what's really funky is that he released them directly on OpenSea. So that was back when people maybe there weren't as many people proficient with contracts. So he released it with an OpenSea contract and released 1,000 of them. And that was the Genesis collection. There's 1,000 Genesis Kongs. That was really the start of the community. By the way, I was not there. I didn't come into Cyberkongz till around when Alex did in June. So whereas Inverted was a day one minter. So we minted those on OpenSea, March of 2021. And the community started to form and started to get these big brains in the community. A lot of punk holders came into the community, and which I think at the time was because Larva Labs didn't really have this tight knit community. I think there was a lot of people in punks that were looking for something a little bit different. While they appreciated punks, they were looking for a community. So you got these OG punks. A lot of them came in. OG CryptoKitty breeders like Inverted, and they started to form this community, really small at first, but really big brains. And those really big brains decided, like, hey, let's take this to the next level. Let's do more with this. So you had guys like Owl and Coco and Mio, and a lot of what we know is the Council of Kongs today. that then migrated our contract to another contract in April. And that is when really I think we started to take off, because that's when we started, Cyberkongz started yielding bananas. I don't want to like bore you with all of the entire roadmap of it. I'll let Inverted talk a little bit about maybe how the breeding of babies really started to catch in Web3, because the Genesis Kongs were really what started our project, but I think it was the babies and into VX that really started to launch us to the next level. So yeah, why don't you tell them a little about that?
No, yeah. I mean, the best way that I like to put it is we started as a one-man COVID project, evolved into a community, and babies, and just kind of taking over on the breeding factor allowed us to kind of finish the branding or into the brand. So between the, we'll say, combination of OGs from punks and crypto kitties and just all of that back in 2017, 2016, 18, whatever, culminating into one community being full of builders and then taking it upon themselves. The babies then really opened up the community, because there's only 1,000 pieces in the Genesis collection. They spiked pretty hard, especially for the kind of liquidity that was in the market at those times when they launched. I remember like 3 days after they started minting, I think they got up to like 2.5, 3 Ethereum at the time, which was quite a bit for NFTs then. And then I think fell all the way back down to 0.7 before, hitting the all-time high of 215. But, kind of all of this is what culminated to where we are today. And being, I mean, not to pat ourselves on the back, but forward thinkers, and keeping innovation going in the brand and finding ways to reward the community for just being holders. Because that was kind of one of the, we'll say, biggest things about gens and the babies and bananas, that token yielding NFTs got a sudden rise after that, because they understood that you could hold the asset without staking. So you maintain ownership, security wise, but then at the same time, you're still being rewarded for being a holder. That whole culmination is really what helped kind of propel, honestly, the accident that CK has been the entire time. Obviously calculated moves and stuff like that, but it's kind of a unicorn brand, and the idea that there's a lot of things that have just lined up over time and put us where we are and continue to be, and even being here, right? Like, you got plenty of people who would be more than happy to come on this show, and here we are 18 months later from creation and inception, and just humbled to be here.
Awesome. One of the things I've always appreciated about this new growth of Web3 is this kind of transition, I think, of Web2 looking at its participants as users. And we get to talk to a lot of early venture companies. That's what we do quite often. And I always hear everyone still call people users, where Web3 is they were much faster. Like, hey, wait, this is the community. What makes these things valuable is the community. What makes any company valuable largely is the people who consume the products. And so many people have been turned into a product by Web2, that this is such a deeper relationship with the brands and the communities that are growing out there, that I love the kind of early Genesis and growth stories. So you guys went over a few pieces. The Genesis is 1,000 individual NFTs. I didn't realize that it had an all-time high of like 100 something Ethereum up there. That was fantastic.
200, I think, right?
215. Yeah.
For each individual, like that was the floor price at the time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is one of the other things I really like too, is the amount of education that people get that they might not normally get in your kind of day to day. It's difficult to tell, but we have an Arcane Bear token that we use as like a giveaway. So with our internal community, so I got to put the liquidity on the other side of this trade for this token to work. And the understanding of, if you only have 1,000 of something and you have a lot of interest in it, it's like, it's only 1,000 of the thing. The price could go astronomically high because there's not a lot of liquidity. So the markets are generally these abstract and like obscure features to most people, because we're not interested in, a lot of people aren't interested in just making money. So having so many new people with a hands-on relationship with ownership technology that identify each other as the value prospect, right? Like, hey, our community is the thing that makes the brand and the company valuable is so important. So we went over the Genesis. Tell us a little bit about the baby incubator and its relationship to with VX.
Yeah. So Cyberkonz, actually, if you had 2 Cyberkonz, which yield 10 banana per day. Those Genesis Kongs, 2 of them, combined with 600 banana would make a baby Kong. It would incubate a baby. There are 4,000 baby Kongs. Yeah, they're like, Owl tells the story, which I love, of how he thought of the mechanics of this coming. He was in the shower, and I think he had this light bulb moment. Owl is our lead developer, by the way. And he had this light bulb moment like in the shower, and he came out of the shower, and I think he contacted Coco, and they started kind of, going back and forth on this idea. And so, yeah, the 2 Genesis Kongs with 600 banana made a baby Kong, and those bananas were then burned. So we had 4,000 baby Kongs, which ended up minting out in December of 2021. The VX Kongs, when we did our VX mint in August of 21, VX, to anybody who isn't familiar, is the voxelized, the 3D. They're like our avatars for running around the metaverse, being in games, etc. Every Genesis Kong got a 1-of-1 VX Kong made. So like, for instance, Inverted, Henry, anybody who has a Jenny, we also have a matching VX Kong. Babies also got a Kong, but it wasn't a 1-of-1. It was just randomly generated. And then we did 10,000 as a public sale. I think at the time, Inverted, correct me if I'm wrong, did we burn like 700 Ethereum in gas during that? The gas wars when the public sale happened was insane. I say this with like utmost respect. I don't ever want this to be taken the wrong way, because I served in the US military, so I mean it with respect. There are 2 things that I remember vividly, and that is where I was on September 11th and where I was the day the VX Kongs contract went live. And like, those are 2 very vivid memories I have, because I remember I was in a tattoo shop. My daughter was getting her ear pierced when the VXs went live, and I remember frantically on my phone trying to get them, even though I had some to claim.
Wait a second. What? So your daughter's birth wasn't on that list?
I'm just saying, there's like, I love my girls. Okay.
I know,
Outside of the traditional answers is what you meant.
You know what? That's the first time I've said that live. I should caveat it. You're right.
No, I'm just giving you a hard time. We're having fun here,
True story. My wife and I were talking about this the other day, because somebody was making a comment before the Bills game on Sunday on AM radio about like where they were when something happened, like some moments in life, and they excluded their child's birth, and the host called them out. But the funny thing was, my wife and I were talking about that, and we were both like, I have 3 daughters, by the way, that range from 11 to soon to be 17. And thank you. Awesome girls. My oldest daughter is a Kong. She loves Kongs. That makes me like, dude, it makes my heart melt. But yeah, our children, like, finding out when my wife was pregnant and the births of them was never just this like, where we gazed into each other's eyes and said like magic. We didn't have that experience. It was like, you're pregnant.
I'm just messing with you, Mr. Gray.
No, I will say,
I love it.
Henry, though, like that VX mint, like leading up to it, like I remember it so vividly as well. Like the anticipation for it was like, I remember like it was yesterday. There was a lot of energy to that day. And I remember it. It was powerful. Like, it was exciting. It was the last time I was truly like, I'm scrambling to like, what VX can I get? Like,
dude,
beautiful day. Yeah.
The hospital room when my daughters were born did not have that feeling, by the way. It wasn't the same. It just wasn't. Okay. So I'm being truthful. And, so I remember that.
Stress. Yeah.
It was a special time when the VX is minted out. And that was sort of like a moment where, keep in mind, back in June, there was still only 300 people in the Discord. We were super small, growing a little bit, right? Like growing a little bit. When VXs hit, it's like all of a sudden we had like thousands of new holders. It was insane. And that's when our run up to 215 ETH for Jennies and 17 ETH for babies and 4 for VXs. That's when that run up happened. And it was like, let's be real, it was a lot of fun, right? It was hectic, chaotic, but it was fun.
And then why do you think, I think this is important to lay out. It's like, that was an exciting time, but what was it that took this other audience that wasn't other community that wasn't part of the Kongs yet to go, these Cyberkongs are worth it. I'm gonna spend at like $300,000, 200 ETH, 17 ETH on babies. Why was it? What made it so? Why was that so happening?
People are crazy, Alex.
By the way,
yeah.
By the way, it was like $775,000 for a Jenny. Like I remember seeing it on OpenSea where I'm like, where it would give the fiat conversion, because ETH was hanging around 3,500 to $4,000 at the time. It was insane. Yeah.
There's I've watched some of this grow up here, and I was never really interested in the NFT sector specifically. Like when I showed up, my main interest in Bitcoin, kind of Web3 in general, was just about sovereign ownership of something. And what really kind of struck me about the NFT sector as I started to understand its relationship with culture a lot more was, Bitcoin really offers this solution as sovereign money. And what I started to see is that NFTs are maybe the first kind of reminiscence of a sovereign identity. And a lot of people's identity is their identity on the digital world. We have way more friends that we talk to or say good morning to in the digital world than we do on an average, like kind of day-to-day work base. And that identity is really, it's kind of been cut away from us. Like the ownership of it is usually through the platform. Like if you build a Twitter account, they take your followers away, you're kind of screwed. So there's this relationship with a deeply valuable part of identity that I started to recognize within some of this stuff that makes it, well, first off, if you have a very low liquidity again of something too, if you have numbers can go very high very quickly because you only need to sell one at that price for the new price to be like 1,000 ETH or something, right? So the interesting part here, I think though, and what really started to attract me, well, everybody likes number go up, but ultimately, I came from here's a technology that solves sovereign money, but there wasn't as much identity in it, right? When we created an Arcane Bear token, there's this relationship that you have with the choice of something, the choice of like, here's the identity that I'm interested in pursuing to some degree or another, or the fiscal identity that I like. So do you want to tell me a little bit about some of the threads of the community and how this roadmap has been, like, how does the community and the roadmap function together? A lot of these times they're often done as a DAO, there's voting structures. We'll peer a little bit more into the identity of the average Kong and their voting interest on the roadmap.
We're not a DAO. It's interesting. We are a community, but we're not a DAO. Though there have been things that we have experimented within the community using, like our DAO. So there are certain things that we do and have had the community vote on, certain directions we may go in, but ultimately the roadmap of the project is really carved out by the core team. And I'll even specifically say, like, of course, I feel like we all play a part in that. There's a lot of vision up in Mio's head. There's a lot of vision up in Coco's head. And then, anybody with an idea on council can throw something out there and it could go in any direction. I think I joke now a lot of times when we're at events speaking or, if we're on a panel, how I feel like Cyberkongz turned the idea of community and building memeable, because once we started becoming known as a community and really we were one of the first, like, when I say real communities, I'm sure I could get lots of arguments against that, but I was there. I was in other communities. I traded my Bored Apes. I was in Yuga for a very long time, and no hate at all. Much respect to what they've done. But I was looking for a different type of community, a building community. And Cyberkongz, I think, made community building and building in general, innovating with the tech, memeable, because after Cyberkongz started doing these things, everybody was starting to copy us. There was a lot of copy pasta happening over the summer and into the fall of 2021. But I think something Cyberkongz really got right. There's a bit of, let's be real, maybe if you want to say a bit of luck, a bit of lightning in a bottle, some of that has to happen, right? Because there just is some of that happens. Cyberkonz are able to harness some of those things early and start really hitting the IRL events, which allowed the community to further galvanize together. Like Discord is great. And it's great to be able to chat with your friends across the world, and hopping in voice chats and doing podcasts and Twitter spaces are great. There's just some different magic that happens when you get together IRL. I didn't think it would be like that until I experienced it. And it was the closest thing I've ever had to being that camaraderie I've had with people I served with in the military. Closest thing I've had to that is my Kongs fam, honestly. And I think other people feel that. And I think that is why we've retained such a huge amount of our holders through bulls and bears. I mean, think about it. You have to part with this thing you care a whole hell of a lot about if you want to realize financial gains from it. And there's people like myself that looked at 775K, right? And we're like, I could give my piece of the community in exchange for that. Let's exchange some value here, and did not do that. Because, I mean, maybe I could argue, well, maybe because I thought it was going to be like 2 commas instead, or 3 commas instead of,
Everyone like number. I know this one.
Maybe some of that happened.
We all know that one, yeah.
But also, it's like I realized there are people that had won and had to decide whether they wanted to stay to be a part of it, or if they wanted to, cash out. And I think Cyberkongz did a good job of being able to retain a huge amount of their holders. And I think we have numbers to back that up, where we've posted our graphs showing our average hold times. But Inverted, I'm sure you have plenty to add on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's I think the fourth level of connection there with the IRL was a big thing that we hit on pretty early. Even before NFT NYC, we had a community member do like a private gathering type party out in LA, and then a couple weeks later we were in NFT NYC. So it was almost like we had the perfect startup where, event wise, between NFT NYC, 21 and 22, we had an event every month somewhere. I think I saw, Kush at 2 of those. At least. And that I remember, because I remember specifically when I met him, it was NFT LA, and I was off to the side, like almost behind the booth. Like it was, I want to say, middle of the second day towards the end type stuff. I know he was busy in the morning, and I was dead. Like, I'll be real, I did not want to talk to anybody. Like, I had been out on the floor. Like, my background, for anyone who's unaware, is events and experiential marketing, and like doing those type of quick fire presentations to people, and hearing people's shills at events, and just going back and forth and doing all that. So love all of that, but at the same time, you got to have like your time to like recharge and stuff. And Alex came over, and I was like, oh gosh, okay, like we can do this one more, like we can do one more. And I think like an hour and a half later, he finally, like, we're done talking, and like it was just this awesome talk. Had no idea who he was at the start. Comes up, he was a Kong. We start the whole conversation, and we've pretty much been talking on a regular basis ever since, whether it's Discord or text or whatever. So it's those different layers that add the personal touches are really what make those memories, like that alone. I mean, I've done hundreds of events throughout my life, but like that is one instance that sticks out just due to the genuine nature of it. That's also a part of Kongs that I think is a big difference, is we don't really sugarcoat things. Like, we're not out there like mega hyping things before they happen. We deliver more like a traditional Web 2 brand, where we do some advertising, but at the same time, like it's more about the actual delivery and making sure that it works before. It's almost like live R&D is kind of the way to think about it.
Yeah, no, I remember that too. And it was like, I was excited. Another event in my life where I was like, man, I've been part of this community digitally, talking to these guys for months and months and months. And you build this relationship online, and then you go in real life. And I see Henry and Inverted for the first time. I'm like, hey, like, what's up, guys? How's it going? I introduce myself. They got they have this like 12-foot, like 3D printed Kong, like this. I don't know how much it weighs. It's like 12 feet tall by 7 feet wide. I'm like, whoa, this is cool. It's surrounded by bananas, real bananas. And I'm like, wow, these people are, you know, real, genuine humans with families and children. And I had a new baby at the time. So, you know, we talked about kids, we talked about life, we talked about the community,
Yeah,
what's going on with the project. Like, it was cool. And I think that just adds this extra layer of connection to this brand, to Cyberkongz. And you know, any Cyberkongz watching, I highly recommend trying to make it out to any event. It's just adds another layer of connection to the people
definitely.
you're already speaking to.
I mean, it gives those chances for the one-on-one conversations that, I mean, you can technically have on Discord, but you know, you can't get the tone and the feel and the actual vibe of a conversation unless you've already had that like you and I can talk on Henry and I mean, I give Henry crap all the time on Discord, right? He knows I mean it all with love.
Yeah.
So it's one of those where, like, you know, text-based communication has its purpose and its place, but at the same time, like, can get misunderstood pretty easy. So, you know, without having that you know, touch point, it makes it a little harder. So yeah, I mean, I love the all the interactions, honestly, that I've had with Kongs, and just kind of going through it all. Henry and I, when we were in NFT NYC, remember walking through a couple times, 2 times at least, we were getting pizza, and then another time we were walking through Times Square, and someone was just randomly yelling our name, and I don't know that we ever found who they were.
Somebody that like turned around. It was like this moment that was like, what? This guy's like, you Henry the Grape? Was like, yeah. Random, because we were not coming from an NFT event where we were. We talked I don't know if he met us in LA, went to the phase party, something like that. But then he turns, Inverted came up to like say something, and the guy like looks past me, he looks at Inverted, he's like, Inverted? And it was this moment where we're like, we had it happen in a cab in LA, where a cab driver saw our sticker and was like, those are the, and he like, he said it wrong, like the cyber CryptoKongz. I think he called it a CryptoKong, but he knew.
Alex and I once we called it the Cyberpunks. For like, damn it.
It's okay. We all did that, by the way. We've all done that. But we've had some of these realizations of like, wow, it's a privilege. You know how many projects don't get noticed by somebody nationwide, worldwide? Kongs have been really fortunate that we've been able to stay relevant, and I don't think that's lost on any of us. I think the humility within the project is very high. I think we're very appreciative of where we are and what we've been able to at least maintain.
Awesome. Yeah, you know, and such an important time during many people's lives at the kind of the end of the swing of the COVID lockdowns. Community became one of the most important functions of like a daily, well, that and our online community was mostly how we were connected for a year or two. So it's like, it may have been some of the first times people were seeing each other again. I remember the first time went to an event, went to the FTX conference in Bahamas. The first time I'd seen like 2,500 people again in almost 2 years. Like, this is amazing. So, anyways, the point I wanted to lean into, though, and where I kind of was starting from, was the idea of this identity and the underlying thread of connection between the community member and that identity. So I fascinated to hear that each of you had such a deep relationship with the in real life aspect. I think that's an important part I'll think about further on by myself later. But what I wanted to do was ask more about what's the future look like? What's where are we? Where's Cyberkongz going? What are the next things that are exciting, or what are you working on now that's the most interesting, or that we should go check out?
Looking for leaks.
No, it could be already out. I mean, it could already be a thing. Like, it could be a thing you're working on right now. Like, so I see you guys are working on playable avatars in the sandbox. We got the key features down here. I can see. But
maybe that new post that the artwork that was loaded up can lead us into that conversation of all those different things. So Tio, if you go to the
Path of Kongs,
the Path of Kongs, there's a lot of
not this.
If you go to the Cyberkongz Twitter page, it should be the pinned tweet. And Henry, maybe that's a place to start and kind of going over some of that. Yeah, go ahead. I'll
start with like a really generalized, like super general statement, which is really about like, I hope I'm not considered a shiller, because I really try to be measured in anything Like, I don't get paid for tweets or anything like that. I purposely don't do that. And by the way, Inverted, I know it's the same for you. We get hit up a lot outside of the CK ecosystem on Twitter asking for like, hey, would you retweet this for 0.258? Like, and maybe even more so in the bull than in the bear, but it still happens. It still happens. And so my point is, I don't do that. I've never have done that. Never been more bullish. Never been more bullish on the direction of Kongz. But by the way, I'm a human, and so like I go through the exact same things holders go through, because I am a holder at the end of the day. Of, you know, is Kongz gonna? When I say is Kongz gonna make it, like, okay, of course I'm bullish on Kongz, like, and I'm a part of the CK ecosystem, but there are times as a human being I've thought of like, okay, like, does any of this make it? Like, whether Kongz make it or not, does any of this make it? Or is this just like this temporary thing? Well, as time has gone on, and specifically in this bull market, bear market that we're in right now, I've really started to see the things that we've been doing, this slow layering of connections, partnerships. We're building something that is going to be, in my mind, when I say massive, I mean, yes, of course, I'll allow for the fact that maybe it's not massive, but it's still just huge. I'll take huge. I don't see anybody else. By the way, I'm extracting Yuga because I think Yuga has achieved just a completely different level within society. And I think our path is so different. We're building something, I think, much bigger. When I say much bigger, I'm going to get FUD for that. Let me contain my words. We're building something big, and we're building something big because we have IP. I think that IP is valuable to us as a community. I think it is valuable to people way outside of our community. And when those people start looking for what IPs are going to make it in, let's say, the conventional like Web 2 world, whether it's in, I'm making things up, whether it's comics, whether it's, an animated series, any of these things that all of us think about, plushie toys, games, Kongz is positioned so well to be able to execute on those things. And I even think to a certain degree quicker than other people. I had a conversation the other day, and then I'll shut up, with somebody in the entertainment industry, and they were having a hypothetical question with me about interoperability, and that they understand that the technology is not there yet for interoperability, but that it is somewhere we're going to. And I had to correct them and say, oh, no. Interoperability it's real. Not only is it real, we practice it. Like, that is a big thing Kongz do. We want to be interoperable within other games, within other metaverses, but we are. And you know what? It wasn't just in using our VX Kongz. Of course, that's a big part of interoperability, but we just tweeted the other day about our 2D sprites, and those 2D sprites are going to be able to be used in applications where you wouldn't be able to use your VX Kong, a 3D asset. Think of all of the things out there that Kongz have already built for and are ready for. Those things take time and they take money. And we have already checked those boxes. We've checked a lot of boxes that are needed to really blow this up to a different level. And that's what makes me really bullish. Sorry,
Awesome.
I talked too long.
No,
I
it's
went too long.
I rant. I love talking. It's okay. We could talk. That's what podcasts are for. I mean, it's only for the long attention span individual here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's no short thanks here. So I'm plugging around on the website. Tell us a little bit about these fun games that you guys have built here too.
Yeah, the P&K, Play and Collect.
Yes.
Yeah. So Play and Collect is our gamified minting experience. So the best way to put that is, generally you'll go to a website for like a new mint, click the mint button, and you get your NFT. What this does is it's pretty much a V.001002 now with the claw of that experience and becoming a game. So the way I like to put it is, we've laid the road with like the IP and the brand and starting to lay more of that. And this is the Model T that goes down the road. We keep adding, adjusting, things of that nature. So part of, what kind of makes Kongz is that the brand has always done a heavy focus on rewarding the holders for being holders and just a part of the community. Kind of to hit on the fact of, what Henry mentioned earlier about, typically the only way to quote unquote capitalize or have, financial gain or things like that is by selling the asset itself and therefore removing yourself from the community. Starting with Banana and Babies and, VX and just kind of all of it, it's one of those that we've continued to use the P&K system as a wider distribution model for that. So like a lot of our equipment, was generated and distributed through that system. That equipment is things that'll be like wearables in Sandbox or usable in other games. So really it's about keeping that idea alive and, rewarding holders.
Yeah.
Also,
go ahead.
Can I just add one really cool, because this happened yesterday that we posted about Virunga National Park. We did it. If you go on our Twitter, you can see Kongs have done an amazing job being humble stewards of Web3, but we've also been humble stewards of the planet. And we, as a project, have given. We donated 2 Genesis Kongs to Christie's. The proceeds went to Virunga National Park, which is in the Congo. We just posted this video yesterday, which shows the donations we've made, which are, I think it's around 2 million, give or take, in fiat.
Yeah. 1.2 off the 2 items alone.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say just those 2 were over $1 million. Funds were used to help fund, and you'll see they have this hydroelectric plant there. There's crypto mining rigs that we helped fund, I think a significant portion of. And those crypto mining rigs are providing them with sustainable income as the park is closed because of the wars that are going on in the Congo. That they are now, those semi trailers right there have mining rigs in them. It's amazing. It blows my mind how cool Kongs are, not because of our floor price being 215 ETH at one point, but because of this. And this is the part of Kongs that I think the world is going to feel one day, and they're going to want to be a part of. Because
2,800 machines.
It hits different.
They have. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing what they're doing over there. It's amazing, and I'm happy Kongs are a part of it. I just wanted to throw that in there as we were talking about like part of our roadmap. But yeah, Alex, you were saying, sorry.
No, I mean, that's just a beautiful thing. I work in the impact space. A lot of my time is spent, how do we positively enhance, people's lives? And this is just such a great way. I was just watching the videos, Tio was playing it, and just a great thing that the community, Cyberkongz, has done for an area that, needs that help through 2 Genesis Kongs. And now they're able to have something that's sustainable over the course of many, many years. It's just beautiful. And I was just going to add something to the play and collect. Like, it's something that I look forward to. It's a simple, game, if you will. It's a click, click a button kind of game. And I look forward to playing it every week, saving up, my Kongium and my fuel tanks are, I don't know if you can hear my kids crying downstairs, but he's 1 year old, but it's just
Kongs
a really
don't cry.
Yeah.
Kongs don't cry.
This is why. Now we know.
I'm doing all of this for my son, by the way. This is all going to be his one day. And it's such a fun thing to play, like earning the, first it was the armor and then the weapons, and really not knowing quite how it's going to be used. It's kind of going to go into the sandbox and be used into that world one day. But then adding this claw mechanism, I won a golden ticket, by the way, which was great. And I used it and I won a sup duck, which is fine. But anyway, it's a great experience.
Love
and it further drives and engages the community on a consistent basis. And some of the data, the Dune analytics data that I know Inverted has shared, and I mean, there's like, what is it, like a million plus banana burned? Like, the numbers are staggering. I've shared it with some friends that work in the brand space, and they're like, holy crap, like people are really interacting with this play and collect game at a very high level for such, let's call it, 39,000 people in the Discord, 200 on Twitter. That's relatively small for how much interaction we get and engagement we get into that game.
Yeah, and shout out to Bannerlytics for the Dune dashboard on that. He always comes together and comes through on those.
That guy's crazy. He's the what he puts together is unbelievable. Yeah, he's such a huge part of the CK community doing that kind of stuff. But that is an insane point that you just brought up. Also, what you didn't add, because I think you were just trying to be like super kind because you're a Kong. Like all of that with a game that, let's be real, is not even close to AAA, right? All of that engagement for something that is really in its infancy. So like, imagine what happens when we have something that is way more engaging. Like you can see on what you guys had posted, the Path of Kongs, that little, fenced in area, that's Conquest. That is going to be like, hey, you bring your VX Kong in, battle royale style, win some loot. There's going to be some really cool components of Kongs that are going to be
doing the PR check.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm looking at this map and I'm like, oh man, it's Coco. Like, if we say the wrong thing, Coco is going to like somehow beam a message into me and be like, sir, don't talk about that. So like, I can talk about Conquest. I feel comfortable. Inverted, bro, talk about anything you want.
We'll have to have a chat with Coco offline.
That's pretty much how it goes. We all do. We all
want to have a
work
chat
on a
with
text
We're
basis.
gonna have a chat with you, Coco.
Yeah.
Coming for you, Coco.
Awesome. Yeah, that the reason why I'm interested in the play to earn sector, again, I was not interested at all up until recently, but it feels like one of these kind of the most ridiculous answer might be true. I look at how many problems we have and some of the things that I think that might be able to help solve them. And one of for me, like I want as many people as possible to interact with this technology, whether it's Ethereum, Bitcoin, Avalanche, Solana, any of them, just to start to interact where you have some type of ownership over something. What I liked about the video you guys shared is that Alex had mentioned, we're also interested in like impact campaigns. We, in fact, we think it's surprised everybody just doesn't do it kind of point blank, but the idea of kind of data sovereignty as well, that's a huge aspect. Like if I can support can I support the system that holds the Kongs, mining? There's a whole bunch of ways to do it, but the part that I think is interesting is that how do you get 1 billion people to accidentally start participating instead? And that's why I was like, oh, this is where video games come in, because it's the fastest route to adoption, where people may not necessarily know that they're interacting with this type of technology, and it overcomes a lot of the boundaries that you would have in a conversation in terms of like with money or with finance or with stock valuations effectively, which regulates a lot of people out of ownership in general. Like, now you guys probably don't watch my channel a bunch, but one of the things I always kind of go back to is Netflix is this great example where, people pay $12 a month. They pay on average for about 5 years. It's a small investment, but if you were given the opportunity to do that and actually own micro stock of Netflix, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars accrued for the person. Whereas, one of the things that's so difficult is people need financials to like enrichment. And not that the difficult part here, again, is that if you get into the argument that this is a security or all this crap, it's just kind of muddies the water. But video games have been selling billions of dollars in graphic and token based games for years. So we have a perfect argument kind of against the securities clause here. It's like, well, this is our product, and you can raise money off of your early stage demo products. People do it all the time on GoFundMe, et cetera. There's a bunch of ways to do this. So I think that the games were well suited to be accidentally adopted, and then B, circumvent the regulations that have gotten away. And a lot of the surge of adoption that we were looking for, people were like, oh, it's the institutional investors are here. It's like, they've been here for a while. It's everybody else. I mean, if you have over $500,000, you're in the 1%, homeboy. Like, it's the 99 other percent of the people that really that I'm really interested in participating with this technology. I think video games has a huge part in that. And I think a lot of people are starting to recognize that. That's why I asked about the play to collect and the play to own. I like your guys' terminology here as well, because it's just for me, more than, we've had a lot of financial success with it, but the fun part has always been, this is a kind of a free choice system where you can adopt something and you can have an ownership. And I think that people have massively underestimated what it's like to have small fractions of ownership within a game or within a movie or whatever it might be. And games are the best suited because of, hey, we sell digital items and we sell digital tokens. Like, it's not outside of their business model. Whereas most other people, that's outside of their business model. They sell physical products per se, like a pop, a beer. And then that's where you get into, if I'm going to sell you stock and then security, is it what's a token used for? So whereas the video games are just perfectly aligned for that. So I'm fascinated by that sector. So I hope we can, we'll have a chat with you too, Coco, and see what's going on. Tell me about this beer that you got here, Mr. Henry.
Oh yeah, I just casually usually carry around empty beer bottles or beer cans because it's fashionable in Buffalo to do that. So this came from, okay, this was our first batch of banana beer that we had brewed in the Netherlands. And this was actually at Met AMS, that was in Amsterdam. And it's called Ubeer. I don't know if you can make out the details. There may have been an attempt by a council member. There is an ongoing investigation. It hasn't.
I love this story.
Allegedly.
Two council members, myself being one of them, were potentially, there was a decapitation attempt. He's lucky I wasn't here. I was flying to New York City when this blew off of this. Another council member across the pond had the same thing happen. So we're beginning to wonder if we were maybe sabotaged from within. That being said, as a non-beer drinker, I did have a taste of it, and it was actually really good. And this is something that we are actively working on distribution in Europe. So that is sort of one other element. In fact, I think if you look, I don't
know if it was sabotage. Just manufacturing products is difficult. Like quality control on early manufacturing products is difficult. I have a beverage company, and one of my friends started Silk almond milk, and his long-winded stories about manufacturer distribution, quality control, especially with beverages, can be very difficult. It's very it's much different than technology. Yeah, it's a different.
You might need to hook Henry up in with that silk
blowing
guy.
Up sounds like that's you got one.
I like my version better though. I like knowing that there's somebody maybe across the pond that's trying to take my head off.
I don't know. Early stage manufacturing. That's what I'm going to jog it up to here, Henry.
Silk's a big deal, by the way. If he's Silk almond,
he's a rock star. Yeah, he's a
that's pretty incredible. Yeah, let's talk to him about how we can package this in a way that doesn't blow.
I've got some friends that run a pretty big beer brewery down here as well in Costa Rica. They manufacture and distribute all around Costa Rica. They go into cans as well. We were looking at putting our beverage in cans instead of bottles, but we like the glass a little bit more at the end of the day. Anyways, total side point. I'm a big fan of beverages. So some of the brands have done this, and I think a lot of people wonder why they don't do more physical products. Is there an end? How far along in the process with the beverage are you guys aiming? Like, because I know physical products are difficult as compared to like, hey, we're going to do digital technology. It's just way easier to scale. What's the level of conviction on pursuing the beverage, do you feel?
Yeah, so we already had, meaning we at one point could have said we have somebody that was manufacturing it. Right now, we had somebody that was manufacturing it, but we have since, I believe, gone to another brewer. I don't know that had anything related to the packaging of it, or if it had to do with how we then distribute after it's made. But yeah, I think this is something that as part of becoming a brand, this is something that I was going to say, you can actually see it on the path of Kongz next to the laptop on that rock. Okay. In the front part of not the background, in the foreground, I think would be the proper terminology. On the port side of the laptop, because we define our laptops using nautical terms. I, I think the aft section has a beer can below it. If we were to zoom in, I believe that's what it is. And I think that shows that we are, if it made it on there, it was intentional. So
yeah. I literally pulled up that path of Kongs on my computer. I got this big screen at home, and I started zooming into stuff because I was trying to find Easter eggs on this path of Kongs. I don't know if I did or not, but it's just, you know, for me, Henry, for Kongs, where's going to be the focus? Is there like a primary focus on gaming, on products, and a secondary focus on products, a primary focus on gaming? Where is that focus going to be? The attention really going to be moving forward?
Okay, my opinion, I'm so curious to get Inverted's, but I'm going to tell you mine. Mine is that it's like this. Keep this in mind. Council is 9 people. Quite a few of those are devs, right? So the amount of people that are like day to day working on those exact things you're talking about are like a handful, okay? And so to me, the way I see the way that it's happening is there are things, a lot of tech things that we are very focused on. Like, we know we're doing this. Like, we know we're going to expand Play and Collect. We know we're going to, you know, implement the claw. We know, like, there's an armory on here. You can see like there's something towards the top that looks like a battle arena or whatever that is, because Mio's out there with a, you know, hammer. We know those things that we're working on. But then here's what happens. Somebody, like, let's pretend this was Pepsi, right? This is not Pepsi, but let's pretend it was. Like, Pepsi sends a DM and they're like, hey, Inverted, we saw the Kongs and blah, blah, blah. Well, now all of a sudden, like, whatever we were working on that day, well, guess what? Now Inverted is going to talk to Pepsi, okay? And then maybe like whatever thing I'm working on, all of a sudden, Oprah is like, hey, Henry the Great, we love what you're doing with Virunga National Park. Let's have a conversation. And I'm like, okay, Oprah, when I have time, I will. Not right now. But like, the reality is
I'm generally too busy for Oprah as well.
You understand. I think what we're finding is like, we're getting tapped on the shoulder a lot. And now we have to decide, like, what are those things? So that way we're not spread so thin that we can't do any of it. But like, what are the things that we can dedicate enough of the team to execute on this? And I think that's happening more in the bear than it ever did. I think what people are realizing is if they want inroads into Web3, they need a concierge service to a certain degree. I'm not saying Kongs are a concierge service, but let's be real. If you are X, Y, or Z, and you want to come into Web3 because you recognize that it can help reduce your communication costs, you recognize that it can help put you in touch with your customers in a way that has never been done before, and allows you to engage with consumers in a way that hasn't been done before, who are you going to go to for that? Like, who do you dial up in the yellow pages to be like, all right, get the Web3 guys in here? You may get one of these, hey, we just established ourselves 7 months ago and we're all going to tell you that we've been here since 17, but really none of us know how to actually take anything from A to F. We minted a lot of projects and we've had success. Or you can start going to the people that you're like, I don't have to listen and decide whether I think they're telling me the truth. Let me go on the blockchain and see, like, you know, what's it look like? What have they done? All the numbers are there. You can go on Discord and see, like, what's the community? What's the engagement on Twitter? So like, if you're somebody and you want to come into the space and you want to be aligned with people that you think know what they're doing, who are you going to go to? How many projects could you count? I could rattle some off the top of my head. Yuga obviously is one of them. Gary Vee has quite an empire that he's establishing, and it's been amazing at the way he's been able to execute that side of thing. But then once you get outside of like Yuga and maybe the V Friends, and you start getting into, you could even put, like, I wouldn't put Doodles in that same category, even though they raised a ton of money, because I haven't seen anything Doodles have done that have been like, oh my gosh, amazing. Not dogging Doodles. But I put Cyberkongz in that category because we literally have, we've come out with stuff. We've been we have 2-factor authentication on chain. Like, who else can say that? The Guardian contract. How many people's assets have been saved by the Guardian contract? That alone should propel us to some sort of status that is like, wait, you have what? Oh, You can like lock, wait, what? But people don't even know. You say Guardian contract, they don't know. We haven't been very good at being able to get that out there. Point being is I put us in that same type of category. We may not have the eyes on us that Yuga Labs has or that VFriends has, okay? We may not have that exposure yet, but we have enough. And when people do look at us, they're able to see like, oh, you guys have thought you've been around for a while. You're still here. Wow, your prices they're steady. Your holders, not bad. Oh, you have a game. You have two-factor authentication. You have a beer. You have like merch About You. We just launched a line with About You, literally one of the largest retailers in Europe. Just put CK. We have our own line being done by them. We have a lot of boxes we've checked, and I think those things matter with those companies that are looking to come in. And I think Kongz have positioned themselves well. Vert, sorry, I went way longer than.
I was going to say, Verted, what is your kind of take into the future with Kongz and focus?
Yeah, I think the kind of most succinct way I can think to put it is IP. Pushing IP and what it means to be a Kong holder and what the universe looks like. We've done a pretty good job of keeping a curated kind of quote unquote almost nothing as far as what the story of Kongz is, like by canon and or officially. So the idea that there's a lot of old IP in the world. There's a lot of stuff that gets re-rinsed and re-washed, and how many different comic book movies do you want to see? And so there's a lot of hungry viewers out there. We've gone from like the age of, we'll say, 90s 2000 hero films of True Lies and Schwarzenegger and like the big heroes to now content creators. But at the same time, like everyone's still super hungry for those like epic sagas, those mega stories of worlds and universes and places that make sense to today, but still have so much potential to push kind of into new frontiers. As kind of cliche as that is, but I always like to describe kind of Web3 and what Kongz is, I'll say, started to achieve is reverse brand building. We started with kind of no hopes, no dreams, no nothing. It was literally just 1,000 monkey JPEGs on an OpenSea storefront contract. And a couple of weeks ago, we're at New York Fashion Week with a designer and our print on the line, hanging out with Chuck Liddell, and then everything between. So just kind of the fact of where we've been and where we started, and how we've gotten there. A lot of people see and respect that. Even if we aren't necessarily the loudest crew out there in regards to crypto Twitter or, flexing our Kongs or things like that, we have people like Kush who are connecting us in the back with Bear to, make these things happen, which to me are more important. Like everybody loves a good floor price go up, but in the end, if, when bears happen, things like that, like to kind of hit on your question, one of our main focus, I think, is more stabilization in Web 2 income, because then we start to lose the volatility of Web 3. If we're 100% based in Web 3, then obviously that's kind of what we're based in. But if we start to, expand the brand and have income streams through other ways, more exposure, all of that, it does nothing but strengthen the brand and the conduit between 2 and 3, which I think is, really what every Web3 brand kind of wants in the end. Maybe not something like the super like dev ones where they're just literally trying to build something, not build a brand at all. But like anyone who's trying to build a brand, I think really wants to push it into Web 2 where they have that ability to do merchandise and bobbleheads, right? And kids' clothes. And, I think anyone who's building something from nothing, which is, I think, is probably how a lot of people see, especially in Web 3, that, these different doors and openings and things like that, thankfully Kongz has opened a lot of those doors. Because not only because it's holders, but just like participation in what we've done and where we've been. I can account for many conversations IRL from everything between VCon to NFTLA to NYC to Miami that have helped us put us where we are today and are going to be in 6 months or a month or the different road points. So it's just interesting to see it all kind of come together, though.
Yeah, beautiful.
By the way, I just want to say, when I made my comment about the Doodles, like Doodles obviously has done an amazing job building what they have built. Because I don't want to talk crap about any community, so I don't even want that to be misconstrued that way. My point was more on the building, innovating side of things. That was sort of my point.
Yeah, I think that's a big differentiation between the even Yuga, Doodles, things like that, is they're more we'll say building the brand rather than the substructures of the brand. You could pop what it is to be a Cyberkongz and look inside and see things that have been built and what's there, and things like that. There's projects that are out there that just build on who and what they are because of who and what they are. That's the thing.
We all have our different lanes, right? I think that's fair, and they
exactly.
could make great judgments about CK that are also true. Like, we've never been the masters of let's say social media marketing. That's not been a lane that we've been, let's say, amazing at, but it's a lane we're getting better at in the same ways they are probably working on getting better at things as well. So I just want to be very fair when I'm talking about them.
Oh no, I agree. I respect all of those other projects and what they're doing in their own unique way. And I noticed something on the path of Kongs that Tio and I like talking about. There's a patch of mushrooms in there.
I was gonna say that's hanging out with us, isn't it?
Yeah, I was like that. I've never noticed mushrooms utilized in our ecosystem. I don't know if that was just artistic, or is there gonna be some sort of mushroom festival we go to?
Can I tell you that I believe I can't zoom in as good as you can, Kush. The Kong under the tree, okay, with the little like spirit orbs that are around him to the right of the arena. I believe he may be on some form of a trip, if you want to. I think he is on. No, I think there is a component of Kongs that we will learn about, where, in fact, in one of the videos that was put out by Nova Collector or Vertical Dreams, you can see
in the middle.
What is the name of the Kong, the legendary Kong, like the Shaman Kong? He has a name.
Spirit Walker.
We have like a Spirit. We have a legendary Kong, Spirit Walker VX. He's in one of the videos. I think that is part of the lore of Kongs. So
he's in the top right too, on the map.
Wait. Oh, wait. Wait, did he make it up there?
Yeah, he's on the left side of the columns.
Some sort of like ancient shrine of.
Okay.
Oh, there he is. And I see the guy in the middle, kind of under the tree, tripping or dazed into the ether of bananas and mushrooms around him, laying on the grass. Yeah, no,
Nothing is by mistake. Nothing. Mio put thought into every single thing that made it onto the roadmap.
I don't even know if he told us everything that they all meant, though.
You see Henry there laying down on a rock eating grapes?
That's just what you do every day. It's eat grapes.
It's
laying on rugs.
There I go, laying on rugs, eating. Yeah, there we go. No, that's cool. The roadmap. I can't wait to see how all this stuff turns out, and as we shape into a brand, it's exciting to be a part of.
Awesome. Well, I loved catching up with you guys and learning more about the Cyberkongz community today, so I appreciate that. Arcane Bear family, if you made it through the entire hour conversation, I appreciate you. You have a great attention span. Remember to like, subscribe, share, do all that fun thing. The Cyberkongz links are down below, so follow them to keep up with what they're doing. I'm sure we'll stay in touch and further our communications. As a matter of fact, we'll keep you guys on for a few minutes afterwards. Thank you, Inverted, Henry, and Alex, for connecting us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome. I look forward to end this, and then we'll chat for a few minutes afterwards. Arcane Bear family, thank you guys all so much. I appreciate being able to have these chats, and then we'll do it again soon. So where's my end button? There it is.